Hi friends, let us continue +1 mathematics. Hyperbola. In conic sections, we have to discuss hyperbola. And what is a hyperbola? Hyperbola is the set of all points in a plane, the difference of whose distance from the two fixed points in the plane is a constant. That is the definition given for hyperbola. Consider the plane of the board and let us consider the x and y axis. Let us take a point P xy and two fixed points, say f1 and f2, on the x-axis, as said in the definition. We have to get a point P and two fixed points. Let the two fixed points be f1 and f2 and let them be on the x-axis. Now, by the definition, it is difference of distances from two fixed points, P f2 minus P f1. That is the difference of P from two fixed points, f1 and f2. Let that P take a position P1, then P1 F2 minus P1 F1, that difference is also calculated, and if these two are equal, then the curve such form will give you a hyperbola. The position of P at P1 does not stop there. You can take another position, let's say P2, then P2 F1 minus P2 F2 will also be equal to the such difference. And if you consider all such positions of P, that path gives a curve, namely hyperbola. You can take positions P1, P2, P3, P4, etc., a number of positions satisfying this condition. In that case, that curve is called hyperbola. And now, in this figure, the axis of the curve is A dash A. It is called transverse axis. The vertices are minus A0 and A0. Then the two fixed points, F1 and F2. F1 is C0 and F2 minus C0. Now the axis of the hyperbola is, that is transverse axis, is along the x-axis. Now there is conjugate axis. The B dash B is called the conjugate axis. It is along the y-axis. And how is B formed? We have distance of the vertex A from origin as A unit and distance of focus F1 from the origin as C units. Then we get B satisfying this condition. c square will be equal to a square plus b square, or b square will be square root of c square minus, b will be equal to square root of c square minus a square. Now b dash b is named conjugate axis. We have transverse axis and conjugate axis. The point b dash is 0 minus b and b is 0 b. Now a perpendicular chord passing through the focus is named latus rectum, as in the case of ellipse, and the length of the latus rectum is 2b square by a, as we have worked out it in ellipse. Now length of the transverse axis, that is a dash a, will be equal to a plus a, that is 2a, and the length of the conjugate axis will be equal to 2b. Now eccentricity is equal to E is equal to C by A. In this case, C is greater than A, therefore C by A will be greater than 1. So, in the case of a hyperbola which is spread on both sides of the y-axis, that is the transverse axis along the x-axis, the equation of it is x square by a square minus y square by b square equals 1. And if the foci are on the y-axis, then the equation will be y square by a square minus a square by b square equals 1. That means these two curves will be above the origin and below the origin respectively on the y-axis. Now the problems related to hyperbola will be worked out subsequently. Right.